Sportowe emocje pod koszem zapewnia Anvil, sponsor strategiczny klubu.
Dzień dobry, witam serdecznie. To jest 6. odcinek akcji Esencja Drużyny 30-lecia i wyjątkowy gość. Już jesteśmy po tej akcji i Jeff troszeczkę zmęczony. Jeff Nordgaard, welcome once again here in Wrocław.
Thank you. It's really exciting to be back. It's been a nice visit.
It's been a nice visit. Dzień dobry, Hubert, witam Ciebie również.
Witamy z siedziby firmy ESEN, głównego sponsora akcji Esencja Drużyny. Bardzo dziękujemy za to, że właśnie mogliśmy ściągnąć legendę klubu do Włocławka.
Yeah, Hubert used a good word, a legend of this organization, of this club, a champion, an author of these 10 triples, well-remembered 10 triples, an author of this golden shot against Sopot's final series. How should we describe it first? Which expression would you like the most?
Which expression or well, gosh, I mean the golden three, which one, that's a good way to call it, is the golden three. But you say legend, that just means I'm old. But it also means that there's a lot of memories from the time here, and you explained a few of them: the 10 threes, the golden three, and the first ever championship. Special times.
There are also some older players than you on this team, so you are not the oldest one. That's a good situation. Jeff, we would like to start, I think, Hubert, I agree with your feelings, because the whole event has finished. You have every single duty behind you. How do you feel right now when everything's done?
Right. I feel very fortunate that I was invited to be here by the fans, and the hosts have done such a great job of treating me well and putting on a show for me. Yesterday, with the fans coming here, it was really cool to see how much they remembered me and how much I meant to them. But then today at the game, to be able to see 3,000 people excited about it, and then also see the highlights from when I was a player. I kind of got chills watching that, and it really made me feel good to know that I was a part of this and that I meant so much to this group.
That's some kind of big legacy you had here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the part that makes this thing so special. Is there were better players than me that have played here. Maybe you would say there were better players that played with me when I was here. But the time I was here could arguably be the most memorable time for the people in Wrocław. And for me, it's people will forget what you say, they will forget what you do, but they'll always remember the way you make them feel. And I see that in this weekend, that I made a lot of people feel special. And for me, I'm happy about that.
Definitely. But let's start from the beginning, from the first season, how you get to Wrocław. If you remember, we talked yesterday a bit about your offer from Italy, because your first overseas season was in France, right? Mm-hmm. And what were your thoughts before signing?
Yeah, so I had played 4 or 5 years professionally at that time, and then the previous year I had an injury, and so I was kind of in a rough spot, and I had an offer from Italy, and then I had an offer in Poland that was quite a bit more money. And
how much more?
$40,000 to $50,000 more.
Okay, that's something.
Yeah, it's significant. But I was still debating. I'm like, really? Do I want to go to Poland?
Where is that Poland?
What?
Where is that Poland?
Yeah, I mean, isn't it communist? Is it, I mean, I knew it wasn't, because I'm a history major and I know how it is, but I had played in Italy prior and I really liked it there, and I thought that was, a better opportunity for a chance to continue on a high level path. For one reason or the other, chose Poland, probably that it was $50,000 more, but good reason to choose it. And it turned out to be an excellent decision. I think we talked about this over the weekend, is that Poland ended up being a great spot for me to be in my more or less professional prime, because I could make an impact at a high level on the teams that I played for. And it was a level for me where I could be an all-star level performer and compete on the teams that were at the top of the domestic league, and then play some pan-European competition as well. So it turned out to be that it became a second home for me. 8 years total in Poland, Polish citizenship. My family lived here. One of my sons was born in Poland. So yeah, even though I was skeptical and questioned the decision at first, it turned out to be an excellent choice.
But it turned out after years. What about the first year? It wasn't that successful.
The performance by the team wasn't as successful as hoped. I didn't realize it at the time, but the budget that was spent on that team that year was probably higher than ever in Włocławek, perhaps?
Yeah, it can be.
And so there were high expectations. And we had high expectations on ourselves. Shoot, we had Ed O'Bannon, Sasha Kuhl, Matt Santangelo. We had excellent players. But we just didn't put it together in playoff time. Domestic league, I don't know, we were second or third. I don't remember in Polish league where we finished in the standings. And we did well in the European competition, but we lost in the semifinals of the playoffs, which was like a travesty. Like, that's just something that was unacceptable, and then ended up losing in the third place series as well. So I enjoyed my time here in the first year, but the lack of success left a bad taste in my mouth. But I knew I was coming back. By that time, I had agreed to come back for another year.
That was supposed to be my next question. Why you agreed on coming back? Because the season was unsuccessful.
A couple reasons. They were going to pay me similar amount of money, which is good, and we had started a process to work on my passport. And so that was another deciding factor, that in order to make that happen, it would be good to be where I was, where the people were helping me make that happen. So that was. I don't think it was ever really a question as the season neared an end that I was going to return there. I liked it here. I did. I know maybe looking back, the fans and the people in the club didn't love how that season went, but I enjoyed the season. I liked my teammates, and we had a good time.
Okay. What about the coach? Because it was Aco Petrovic.
And started out Stefan Tos.
You started negotiations when he was a coach?
Say that again?
I mean, you started negotiations, your agent started negotiations about your extension deal with him, or he was
I don't know
deciding?
exactly. He was the coach at the time that I thought would be the coach for the next year.
Yes.
And I really liked him as a person. He was a player's coach. I liked the way he coached. We didn't perform to the level that we needed to, so you could critique him in that sense, but I liked him as a coach and was ready to play for him again.
But it happened that...
It didn't turn out that way.
Yeah. Suddenly, Andrej Urlep was nominated as a head coach. Do you remember first practice? How did he welcome? Because there is a story in Andrej Pluta's book about that. How did he welcome the team? Remember or not?
I don't specifically remember how he welcomed us, other than kicking our ass for a preseason.
There is a story that he said, "Hello guys, I'm Andrej Urlep. I'll be your coach, and there is a lot of hard work ahead of us. So let's go work. Nothing else. Nothing else. Probably something like this."
Maybe that was. Yeah. I mean, he was. If that was what he said, then he was understating what was about to happen.
Yeah, was it really hard, like from what you remember?
Yeah, it was.
Comparing to Todd and to Petrovic?
Your other coaches.
And other coaches that I had, definitely it was the most difficult training, time commitment, mental focus part of it, and just, I don't mind working hard to get ourselves better. That's part of the gig. We get paid to do that. But it was a mental. I don't want to say strain, but it was not easy. And then also the time commitment of the physical practices, but then the videos, the meetings, watching all of that. We felt like our life was only this, because his life was only this. But we had, wife, family, whatever it might be, and a life. So it was quite difficult. Training camp was really, really hard. And then once the season got going, the expectation, especially from a bunch of us veterans, would be that it would ease up a little bit, because we're playing twice a week, and it really didn't. It really didn't. So it wasn't easy. I got along with him. I was captain, so we talked plenty.
Did he nominated you?
I don't know for sure.
Or a team?
I really don't know how it played out. I don't know. So I would say I was a returning player from the year before, maybe the only one.
You, Marek Andruszka?
Yeah.
Arman Skele?
Let's say I was the one that was in the kind of starting rotation that was returning.
Yes.
So I think it was natural maybe to give me the captaincy. I mean, I would say that Thomas Pasecius was a great leader on that team too, but he hadn't been there the year before, so he and I kind of were co-captains to a degree, where we kind of were the veterans. Now, Andrzej Pluta was a veteran, but he was not a vocal leader. Excellent player, obviously. I think he was our leading scorer that year. Excellent player, Hall of Famer, all of that. But he wasn't a vocal leader. Thomas was a vocal leader, and I was a vocal leader, and we had some other young players. Damir Krupalia and Chris Lang, I kind of took under my wing to make sure that they knew what they were doing. And Robert Witka and Arman Skele, Thomas took under his wing, and try to make sure they were doing the right things and keeping everybody focused on the right path.
What about this taking care of the younger guys?
Well,
tell some stories.
Yeah, well,
some examples maybe.
So, for sure, one thing was Chris Lang, who was an integral part of our success, especially in the playoffs. He came from North Carolina, University of North Carolina, where they took care of you. It's the highest of the high in college basketball in America, and they did everything for him in college. So he came here, he didn't know how to buy groceries, he didn't know how to cook food, he didn't know how to do his laundry. So it was me, my wife helped a little bit too with that kind of stuff, but showing him how you live,
How to live, okay.
How to live. But then also, he tended to be a little bit of Urlep's whipping boy, meaning he would get on Chris a lot. And Chris wanted to leave, like 2 times a month. He's like, I'm going home.
Times a month.
Probably something like that. And so we kept him here. Like, Chris, no, we're going to be good. We're going to be good. And it was, even up until in the playoffs, Andrzej would be mad that Chris wasn't doing what he wanted him to do, and Chris was ready to go again. Or Andrzej Urlep was ready to get rid of Chris. Like, come on, let's go. We can't have that. We wouldn't have won a championship if we wouldn't have had Chris. Yeah, so that's part of it. And then, obviously, Arman's, he was young, and so Thomas kind of had him under his ropes, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia area, the Baltics. He's kind of got that connection there. Damir was pretty easy to handle because he was a European guy, a Bosnian that played in America, so he had kind of both experiences. And even though he was young, he was pretty mature as a basketball player and a grown adult because he knew what Europe was like, especially Eastern Europe and all that.
And at what moment of that season did you realize you can
do something special?
Something more
right.
than
yeah, I don't remember if I was talking to you guys about it or who, but I think the game against Schloss, who was the champion from the year before, maybe 2 or 3 time champion in a row, I can't remember. 5 time in a row. Okay, so there you go. And we beat them at our place, and it was the game that I made 10 3-pointers, and we pretty much dominated them in that game, partially because, if you have anybody on your team that makes that many threes, you're going to probably win, right? But we realized that we beat the best, so why can't we be the best? And I know that Sopot had a budget twice ours, and maybe more than twice ours, and Schloss was the kings that had to be dethroned. But we were confident. Like I said, we had some veterans. Thomas is a very confident person. Thomas Pasecius. I'm confident in another way, not in the same way Pasecius is, but and then we had some young guys that don't know any better than to think that they're great or will beat teams, And so I don't know. I don't think anybody ever doubted it at any time, other than let's go play and be our best. And there's reasons why we got to that, but I don't think it was too far away from our minds most of the season.
What do you remember from that game against Schloss, these 10 triples? Do you remember any specific triple, any specific action?
So I've seen some highlights of it, and they came from a bunch of different actions, but I used to love coming off of stagger screens and shooting on the move, so that I'd square up off of a stagger and hit a three, and I remember hitting a couple of those early, and that got me going. And then we had some penetration and kick and had a couple baseline threes that went in easily, and then my confidence was just up here. So then I remember shooting.
Which moment of the game you felt that the game is tonight is yours?
Time?
Yeah,
in the game? Well,
because in the first half you had only 2 triples.
Yeah,
204 probably, or 2 or 3.
I think.
2 or 3. Yeah.
So obviously it was the second half when I got a groove going, but I don't know that there was necessarily a time in the first half where I didn't feel good, but nobody ever really feels like they're going to make 10 threes in the game. Maybe Steph does every time he plays, but I don't remember a specific time now, looking back at it 20 years later, that was the click that turned the switch on. But one thing that I do remember is my last one was a bank. It went off the glass.
Shot, yeah.
It went off glass, and it was just like, all right, so something's going well for me today. So, yeah. But obviously, it was a highlight not only of my time with Anvil, but probably outside of a specific team win. Individual performance was probably my most memorable of my professional career.
I read in an article that after this game, a big group of fans were waiting for you on the parking lot, and they put you up in the air and and they're walking to your car holding you at the same time. It was something like this, or?
I believe that is probably true. I can't tell you that I remember it, but I believe that would be something that the Anvil fans would do. So I'll say yes, that happened.
That's a funny story because, I mean, these 3-pointers, because maybe the fans don't know, majority of fans don't know that you wasn't a triple shooter back in your times at college. Can you tell this story?
Right. So in high school, I shot threes, and then I went to college, and I was a good shooter. But at some point when I was in college, the coach saw my success with my back to the basket, so in the post, and I had jump hooks and up and unders and McHale moves and all of that, and so I was used more as a post player, especially my sophomore year, which was my third year. The next year, and so I didn't shoot. I might have shot like 5 or 6 threes that year. Then my next year,
total.
Yeah, okay. Attempted.
Attempted.
Yeah, and then the next year, it might have been 15, but whatever. But then the next year I shot even fewer, and I made one, and it was kind of a buzzer beater 3 in the championship game to go to the NCAA tournament. It was a shot clock buzzer, not an end of the game buzzer. But and I shot a lot of jumpers, but I shot like 17-foot jumpers and that kind of thing. Again, coming off the staggers. So then my coach, then Dick Bennett, left to go to another school. And then the coach that I had my last year, he opened it up a little bit and allowed me to shoot some threes. But nobody that saw me play that year would have expected that I was going to be a sniper in Poland. Okay, I shot probably 30 threes on the whole season, and probably at 28, 29%. Nothing special, obviously. And I was kind of when I came in professionally, I was known as an excellent shooter, but not a three-point shooter. So I made jump shots all the time at a really high level, at 57% from mid-range. Like, I was excellent shooter, but just not a three-point shooter. And when I first came over to Europe and France and even into Italy, I was thought of more as a Renaissance man, master of none. Like, I could post up, I could shoot the three a little bit, I could attack off the dribble and throw down a little bit. And then when I came over to Anvil, I could still do most things. I wasn't posting up a lot, but I could attack and do some different things that way. But then I just gradually became a much better shooter from beyond the arc, and my time in Poland is remembered mostly as a sniper, right? I mean, like a three-point shooter, right? I would say. And so, yeah, it would definitely surprise people that only knew me here in Poland that I was not that way all the time. Yeah. So I was a very, very good jump shooter, but just didn't stretch it to the three-point line. Yeah.
we beat. Now we see easily Schloss Wrocław, right? But did you remember the situation when we fans hope that 18th title of Schloss is going to be suspended for 20 years?
So I didn't even know about that when I was playing, and you guys talked to me about it the other night, and I think that's hilarious. It's great. It's great. It's too bad that they didn't suspend it a little bit longer, but they got their 18th right last year.
Yeah.
But it was something that they can win, 17 championships in whatever period of time that was, and then
I think about 6 years or something.
yeah, and then we stopped them, and then they didn't get another one for another 20 years or whatever it was. No, I think that when we went into that semifinal series, we were very confident that we were going to take them down, and the series played out that way. Like it was, we took care of them pretty handily, right?
Yeah, it was 3-0.
3-0,
Yeah.
But this third game was with 2 overtimes.
Yeah. So that, I mean, they were an excellent team. They certainly were an excellent team, but so we'll have close matchups. But if you win 3-0, that means you took care of them. So it was good. And then on to the clear favorites, Sopot. They have the home court advantage.
Do you remember anything from before the rivalry against them? Because they were champions. They were defending the title. So any approach, any specific moments, any I don't know. Urlep's history is also behind this competition, right? He was the coach there.
Yeah.
And I think.
Well, I knew that they were this club's big rival because Anvil, before I arrived here, I think got second place to them the 3 previous seasons.
3 times.
Yeah. And so I knew from all the fans, must beat Schloss, must beat Schloss, must beat Schloss,
Where, on the streets or somewhere?
Yeah, on the streets, wherever. Yeah, anytime you'd see them, yes.
Hello, can we take a picture? But remember beat Schloss.
You must beat Schloss, yes. Good game against Ostrup, but it doesn't matter. You must beat Schloss, or whatever it might be, Chinese food's good, no, beat Schloss, whatever. But, so I knew the rivalry and I knew the history there. And so I don't recall any specific discussion from Urlep about we must take these people down. I don't remember that. It might have been said, I don't remember it, but we as players knew that, they were a rival and we wanted to take care of them, that's for sure. Yeah.
And the finals against Sopot team, as you said, bigger budget. They were trying to win their first championship.
Yep.
But someone with this golden shot, how to say it, set the series? Maybe this is not a good expression.
Yeah, I mean, what would we say? Set the tone for the series.
Something.
Yeah, set the tone for the series. I mean, truthfully, if that shot doesn't go, they are big favorites to win, right? And what happened with that shot is it gave us a chance. Now we lost the next game, so we didn't, build upon it. But if you go to a visitor's spot and you can split with them, then you're in a good spot. And so I think not only did it put us in a good position, gaining home court advantage, but it gave us confidence to say, hey, yeah, these guys might have 2-3 times more budget than us. They might be the big favorites, but we can beat them. We can beat them.
For sure, you're aware of the fact how big was that shot, for sure. But my question is like, our team our club is 30-year-old history. We had only how many shots like this, Hubert? 3. Mirek Kabała is in the 90s against Hungarian team. We lost to Hungarian team by 22 points, and we got a second game. It was like 19 for us, and some point guard made a huge triple, like with a buzzer.
Yeah.
It was overtime. We won. Then it was your shot, and then another one, Quinton Hostley's, 15 years later from you.
Really?
Just 3 shots like this in our history.
It's not very many.
Maybe I have forgotten right now about 1 or 2 more, but just 3, just 4, maybe just 5.
Right. Yeah. I mean, other than your Stephs or your Kobe's or whatever, there's not many clubs that have a lot of game-winning, especially in the playoffs type situation, something like that, buzzer beaters. But you would think there would be a few more in 30 years' time, right? But it just shows how meaningful it was to the club, because I'm on Twitter, and I occasionally, obviously more now because I was coming here, that it got brought up, but over the last 3-4 years I've seen it by people from Włocławek, just, hey, remember this shot, Pamięta, whatever, golden three, and I don't even remember it called that at the time, so I don't know, was it called that then, or did it have to wait until we won the gold, and then after the fact they labeled it that, maybe? I don't know.
I think we didn't know that it will finish with gold, so maybe that's why it wasn't called Golden Tree. But there was this song that the fans were singing that
was from that,
and it meant that you hit that 3-pointer. It is in this song, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
so
well remembered.
Well remembered, no doubt. Yep.
Did you remember that song before, or from that 20 years ago, or?
I vaguely remembered it. I couldn't sing the lyrics though. I had forgotten the lyrics of it, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
I was a fan in a group of fans that were celebrating at Monchak in Sopot, and we were so drunk. We're so happy. We started singing,
It's this famous song in Poland.
Yeah.
Normal song.
Oh, really?
Yes.
At the beach.
And they adjusted the line.
We adjusted.
So that's how it played out. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know how it was. What the
Morza szum ptaków się, like the sound of sea, the sound of birds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's next? In original,
sound of the golden,
original
sound of
version.
sea, sound of birds, sound of golden tree.
Something, let's say something like this.
Yeah. So I remember also story we're gonna play Sopot soon, so I don't wanna hide the whole story. How among of 74 seats in that little sector, and we had 200 people there. I don't want to say how we did it, but Arek Lewandowski and people from the club helped everyone almost.
We're trying their best
to get in.
And we had celebration inside of the arena, outside. The whole Sopot, was ours.
For us, people born and raised in Włocławek, people who remember you from as you said, the time when you were okay player, as you said here in the gym, when somebody says Jeff Nordgaard, we say golden shot championship.
Yeah.
What is the first thought which comes to your mind when somebody says Włocławek, when somebody says Anvil?
For me, it's passion. The passion of the fans for basketball and this club. I mean, I don't know if they're passionate about NBA basketball or whatever else, but they're definitely passionate about this club. And again, for me, it's some of the best memories of my professional basketball career because of, and I said it on the court today, winning this championship meant was so much more meaningful to more people than anything I'd ever won because of, again, second place for 3 years in a row. Just in general, Włocławek, it's not Warsaw, it's not Kraków, it's not Trójmiasto for nightlife or things to do or a vacation destination. So it's Anvil Włocławek, that's everything, right? And so the memories of creating happiness for those passionate people stick with me forever and have been rekindled coming back here and seeing that passion.
You mentioned yesterday that after each season you wanted to go as quickly as possible back to States. That season was long. We started probably in the middle of
early to mid-August.
August.
And the final game was June 15th.
Mm-hmm.
But you wanted to celebrate with these fans, right?
Definitely. So it was most of the teams that I play for. The season gets over. The flight, I'm ready. Not the next day, but the day after, ready to go. But I think we had a 3-4 day long party here.
Daniel Krupaga officially said in the interview that it was hell of a party which lasted 3 days.
Yeah.
But he didn't remember where it was.
No, I don't remember either. It was at multiple places over.
But people, apartments or clubs or.
Yes.
Yes, both.
Yes, both. The streets. Well, whatever not a parade, but a celebration that was out in the street. was amazing and fun. I think we probably got together before that and might have had a few beers.
Andrzej Gostowski, our agent, mentioned that he brought
a
two
cigar.
cigars, right,
2 cigars.
for this game because he was
Like the NBA had it.
Yep. And I had a stogie. Yep, I had a cigar. I can't remember where all of the partying took place, but it was definitely a couple of clubs and a couple of apartments. I think, was it Thomas Patsesius or Damir's? I don't remember. Then going home, it took a couple days to recover after that. But how much it meant to the city, it was important and just fun to stick around and celebrate with the city, with the people.
Did you maybe observe or follow our path to the second championship 15 years later?
I didn't follow it closely, but I knew it was about to happen because I'm friends with Igor Milicic,
yes.
and so that I saw they were on a path to do it, and then they got it done. Off my top of my head, I can't remember who the top players were or anything like that, but I saw it and I'm like, wow, and Anvil got it again. I don't know if the party was the same level or not, or the excitement, but I'm sure it was pretty
kind of
cool.
Open bus
drive
through the city.
Oh, really?
I think it could be comparable.
Yeah, I imagine. I mean, I just imagine that what you guys have done with the club is just grown it in different ways, both in promotion and in apparel and just different things, sponsorships and all that. And so I imagine it was probably bigger because there's more involvement. Yeah.
I was a big party in 2018, such a big party that nobody replied on Damir's email, which he congratulated the club.
Oh, he did?
Officially on our mailbox of the club, and nobody replied for 2, 3, 5 days, something like this.
Yeah, it did take Igor a long time to reply to me too, when I congratulated him. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Weren't you surprised that after the best season for Włocławek championship, you were not asked to stay for the third year?
A little bit surprised that very few of us were asked to stay for the next year. And maybe some of them were asked, but the money just didn't work out or something, I don't know. But let's just say the starting five, who was it? Thomas, Andrzej, me, Damir, Chris, right? Starting five. Pluto was the only one that returned. Did he? No. Okay, so
he left to Sopot.
All five starters gone. I got the impression, and I don't know if it was Ulep or if it was someone in the office, that just no, we're not going to ask him back. To me, and I assume they didn't want Chris Lang back just because Ulep and him fought, but they were at odds. I would have assumed they wanted Thomas Patsesius and Damir because they were really Ulep type players at that time, I thought, and maybe they did want him back. I don't know, but it's wild to see the first championship ever and all the people that had the biggest roles were gone. I know Armand was still here, but he was locked in. He was locked in prior to that. I wasn't angry about it or anything. I was a little bit surprised. But
disappointed?
I don't know if I could have had another year with Ulep. Not because I don't like him as a person or whatever, but my body. I was 30. I don't think I could have gone through.
I remember you with a bunch of ice on your knees after every single game.
Yeah, I don't know that my body would have. Let's put it this way. I am sure that my body lasted longer because I didn't have another season with Ulep. And he's not the only one in Europe that pushes real hard, but for me it was probably in the best interest of my career that they didn't want me back, as far as physicality goes.
But you two met later in the national team.
Yeah. Those practices were much easier, but nonetheless, he was still not easy to play for. He pushes hard and he's just got a manner about him that isn't easy. But we were talking about upstairs, like who are the best coaches in Poland, and it's really hard not to say Andrzej Ulep was the best during my time. I mean, other good ones certainly, and some that I liked playing for, but his success was, can I say, unmatched. I guess Kievsky won a bunch of championships. Some could argue that the budget that they had gave him help, you know. But I think Ulep was an excellent coach, but it's probably best that my body did not have to put up with him much more. But yeah, I had him for the national team, and we had great success. We qualified for European Championships that year, and then I was not asked to come back the next year. I don't know.
He did the same second time, right?
Yeah, and that's fine. And then that means I got my next year. My summer was more free, but yeah, that's just.
That's interesting in your career, Hinfosek, that you were part of biggest disappointment, 2001, 2002, and the biggest success, 2002, 2003.
Yeah, I mean, again, I didn't realize necessarily at the time that it was the biggest disappointment. I knew we had high hopes until the next year when we won it, and could see, looking back, that people expected far more from us the year before. But during the time, I didn't look at it as like I was like this all season. I enjoyed the season. I enjoyed my time here and my teammates. We just, as what happens in sports from time to time, you didn't succeed at the level of highest expectation. So you guys look back at it as huge disappointment. I look at it back as a season that we just fell short, you know, and not a negative season in my career, just didn't have the success that we had hoped for, you know.
The season was special for you, not only because of sport aspects. Your son was born not in Warsaw, like in Warsaw,
right.
but first couple of months he lived here. Was it hard to be a dad?
Right.
Leader of the team, or did your wife to take care of
Alexis did a really good job of handling things. It was our first son. He was born in Warsaw, like you said, but we were living in Wrocławic, and his first basketball game that he went to was an Anvil game, and he had earmuffs on because it was so loud, and he was in a Wrocławic number 7, like little baby onesie type thing. But I'm fortunate because I had both of my kids over in Poland for, you know, a long time. Dawson, my oldest one, was here for parts of 6 years, and my youngest one was 3+. And they had unique and special experiences that many kids in America don't have an opportunity to. And I know that they have fond memories of it. Probably don't remember as much as I would think they do remember, but I do know that when we talk about it from time to time, they remember different things. I show them some videos of the times in Poland, and I would say that it wasn't overly difficult for me to balance at that time, because when you have a little baby, there's not much the dad can do. I mean, there's not much the dad can do. When they get older and you know, you can spend a little more time with them, then you have a little more responsibility. But again, my wife, Alexis, did a wonderful job getting him going for the first part of his life.
Your older son is playing basketball, not professionally right now, on college. So maybe one day will be a second Nordgaard here in Wrocławic.
Yeah. I would love it if Dawson decided that he wants to play professionally over in Europe, over in Poland. I hope and I think that he will be good enough to have an opportunity somewhere. He may not. I don't necessarily expect him to be at the level that I was. Who knows, though? He might surprise me. That said, he's studying mechanical engineering, so his job out of college will be
well paid.
Well paid, most likely. But I always say to people, if you have an opportunity to go experience playing ball over in Europe, take the chance, whether it's for a year or two for an experience, or if it's a career like it was for me. It's something that you won't regret. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with him. I would love to see number 7 or number 33 back over here in Poland sometime.
I think fans are curious what you do now for a living.
Yes.
Your career finished. You've got all these trophies. You mentioned not only Anvil gold medal, but also other medals from Polish League, bronze medals from Polonia, right? Another 2 gold from Sopot.
Yep.
Beating Anvil twice?
Beating Anvil? Is that what it was? We beat Anvil twice? You might be right. Yeah, so afterwards, my last year I played in Koszalin, and for the bulk of that season I became the player coach. And we had success there to the point where we made the playoffs for the first time in, I don't know, maybe in the club's history, I don't know for sure, but and my plans were to come back and coach that team. I went home to America, some sponsorships didn't happen for Azares, and so the money there was not the same as what they had offered me before I left, so I didn't come back to coach, and I eventually took the job that I currently have, and it's just a sales position for a company called BSN Sports, and I sell Nike and Under Armour uniforms and apparel and equipment and whatnot to colleges, high schools, youth programs, and that kind of thing. So involved in sports, I sell to coaches, people that I can relate to, selling things that I'm familiar with. I have a lot of flexibility. I can get away and come do something like this. I don't report to an office. I work from home. So it's a nice job in that sense. I do still coach some. I coach a high-level AAU program, which is, youth basketball, not school affiliated, but mostly the spring and summer stuff, where the kids get recruited to go to university. And I'm in my last year of that probably, because my son is in his last year of doing it. So after that, we'll see.
And you're also a Milwaukee Bucks fan, and you got your big moments a couple of years ago.
Yep, I'm a Bucks fan. I played for them for a short time in '97, '98. I grew up a Celtics fan, but then when...
How many games? What, 50-something?
I remember 33 for some reason. I don't know if I was on the roster for 33 or got in 33, but it was part of a season, not a full season. And yeah, so living in Wisconsin, I'm a Bucks fan, and obviously with Giannis being there, he's a special, unique talent, and so it's fun to watch him play, and then the successes that the Bucks have with him. I was down there in the Deer District for the championship that they won, and although Milwaukee fans, I wouldn't say, are as passionate as the Anvil fans, the only celebration that I've been around that was bigger than the one we had here was that one down in the Deer District when the Bucks won. But Milwaukee's quite a bit bigger city, and there was probably 100,000 plus outside, people cheering and celebrating. So, yeah.
When you look right now at your whole career, professional career, is there even a tiny moment that you regret you didn't play in the NBA for longer, or you are more blessed for playing European years? So
I always say this to people that ask about it. I don't talk about it as much anymore, but when I was kind of still playing or just got done playing, I say that, at the time in the NBA, you only had 12 people on the roster, and then maybe a couple injured reserve. Nowadays, you have 15 people on the active roster, some two-way players, and all that. So even then, if I would have been in the right situation with the right team, I might have had a 3, 4, 5, maybe even longer year career if they would have been able to develop me. The Bucks at the time weren't in a position to develop their players. But what I say about that is, I realized when I went overseas that there were hundreds of people that were as good or better than me that didn't ever get a chance to be in the NBA. So I'm very fortunate that I had a chance to be in the NBA. I was an NBA draft pick. I was an NBA player. In the right situation, I could have had a nice longer career there. But I cherish the fact that I was a professional basketball player for 13 years, the bulk of it being over here in Europe, and value the experiences that I've been able to have, both as I was a history major, so to be able to live and experience the cultures and the people of different places was something that was yeah, you know, something that I valued and something that it was cool to me to be a part of, but to be able to relate it to others back home, and again, like we've talked about already, to make an impact on people over here was quite cool.
So Jeff, I was wondering how to finish the interview because our camera operator told us it's about 50 minutes already. What was it? You were thinking it was for the whole career?
You know, I don't know. It was just something that I did when I was in college, and I don't remember the reason why I did it. I once used to do something for a girlfriend that I had, but that wasn't it anymore. So it's just something that I did.
Remember that?
That I would, when I'd go up to the thing.
Every single time.
Yeah, and you know, I think in sports, I don't want to say rituals, but habits and doing things the same every time give you comfort, and you know, when you do your free throw the same way every time, you feel like you have more success and all that. And not that this affected my performance in any way necessarily, but habits and traditions and rituals are just something that athletes do. You know, whether you're a golfer or a soccer player before kicking a penalty kick, or a basketball player shooting a free throw. There's some things that people do. Or if you're LeBron and you throw the powder up in the air, or Michael Jordan when he used to do it. I don't know. I don't do it anymore, and when I play old man basketball, but I did it for a long time when I was playing in my young days.
That is also something which will be, I think, well remembered here in Wrocław from you, that you're doing this. The priests are knocking the door when you are at confession.
Oh yeah, that's what they do. Okay, so it wasn't that. I've never been to confession.
Jeff, that was a great pleasure for me. For
me, as your biggest fan.
Right now we'll be fighting who's the biggest fan. No, generally that was a big pleasure. Thank you for visiting us here in Wrocław. Right now we are counting on you inviting us to the States.
Sure, come on over. We can go to another passionate fan base, Green Bay Packers football. You'll see it's very similar to Wrocław. Yeah.
But Jeff liked the idea to bring back the championship squad from 2003 back to the city, so he gave us inspiration what to do next when this series will finish.
But it will be, you said, for 25th anniversary, so it's going to be 2000.
So in 2000. We have plenty of time to prepare it well.
Yeah.
Maybe
I mean, if you want to do it sooner, you can do it sooner. But I was hoping that it would be done for the 20th or the 10th or the 15th. But now the 20th was this, which is the 30th for everything, and this was extra special. I'm thankful that you guys invited me and had this happen. I would love to see more of my former teammates and get an opportunity to be together with them, because we had a unique bond. That group, that 2003 season, we were close. We were tight knit. We partially bonded together because things were hard, and we wanted to succeed and have those difficult situations we were going through pay off with success. And part of it is that we really liked one another, and we had fun off the court, competing on the court, hanging out in the locker room, and getting together with friends and spouses and families. It was a unique group that I don't know that I had ever again after that in the same way. I had nice experiences in other spots, but professional basketball is a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a job, it's a profession, it's a business, and that season felt more like a kind of a family experience with the players, and which isn't always the case in professional basketball or even in college basketball anymore. When I played college, I felt that camaraderie with my teammates, and I didn't really feel it again until I was here in Wrocław, and I don't know if I felt it quite the same after that. So it was a special time here and a special group.
And this is the nice ending we could imagine.
In America, you are mature at 21, right? So 21st anniversary will be
Oh, there you go.
We'll
There
be
you go.
next year.
Okay, there you go.
Jeff, thank you for your time.
No, it was great. I appreciate it.
It was great.
Good to go? Love it.
Thank you.
Good.
Dziękujemy bardzo.